Why would powerful Arab rulers want war against a fellow Muslim country? In 1979, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini led the Islamic Revolution that removed Muhammad Reza Pahlavi from power. Pahlavi was the Shah of Iran at the time, a title that literally means king in the Persian. The language spoken in Iran is dethroning ended centuries of monarchy in the country. Monarchy, the system of hereditary rule by a king and his family, had defined Iran's governance for generations. As the first supreme leader of the newly established Islamic Republic, Khomeini's ambition went far beyond Iran's border. Deeply convinced that his hereditary system violated core Islamic principles, he sought to uproot monarchy across the entire Muslim world. Almost immediately after the revolution succeeded, he denounced the ruler of Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates as illegitimate tyrants, criticizing them both for maintaining hereditary rule and for aligning themselves with the Western powers. He openly called on ordinary citizens across the region to rise up and overthrow this regime. While he termed oppressive and corrupt, Khomeini's dream was to create a political Islam, a society where every aspect of life and governance is based on divine Sharia law and Islamic jurisprudence. He formulated a new system of government around Shia ideology, in which a theological scholar would rule the country as supreme leader, with ultimate and final say over all matters. He argued that Islam offers principles sufficient to govern all aspects of life and society, including all the issues facing the entire world at large. He rejected democracy, secularism, and liberal value as incompatible with the true Islam. Many Shia clerics at the time believed Khomeini had gone too far with his expansive political theory. His aim was to abolish Western social, cultural, military, and financial influence, not only in Iran but across the entire Muslim world, replacing it with Islamic principles. According to this system, obeying the supreme leader is required at all times as a religious duty, and disobedience is seen as a sin. This ambitious vision quickly extended beyond Iran's borders, creating serious problems for the region as Khomeini began actively promoting the export of the Islamic Revolution. This development posed a particular challenge to the Saudi royal family, which positioned itself as is widely accepted as the leader of the Muslim world due to its custodianship of Islam's two holiest sites in Mecca and Medina. Iran's Shia-centric revolutionary ideology differed fundamentally from the Sunni monarchies of Saudi Arabia and the other Gulf countries, creating an ideological clash. Sunni Arab countries, which prized stability and their long-standing alliance with the West, now saw Iran collectively as an existential threat to their way of life. What truly broke the camel's back was the shocking siege of the Grand Mosque in Mecca on November 20, 1979, the same year as the Iranian Revolution. Hundreds of conservative Wahhabi militants led by Joaman al-Otaibi, disguised themselves as pilgrims, hid assault rifles, machine guns, and grenades under their clothes, then suddenly stormed the Kaaba and its surroundings. They seized control of Islam's holiest sites, took thousands of worshippers hostage, and denounced the Saudi royal family as corrupt tyrants who had betrayed true Islam. What truly deepened the division between Saudi Arabia and Iran was what followed the siege. In the tense atmosphere created by the Grand Mosque takeover, Shia communities in the eastern province of Saudi Arabia launched large-scale protests. These demonstrations were inspired by the Iranian Revolution and received open rhetorical support from Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. The protesters directly challenged the Saudi monarchy and called for an end to what they saw as oppressive rule by the House of Saud. While Khomeini continued to make incendiary statements against Arab rulers, Saddam Hussein in Iraq feared that Iran's revolutionary ideology might soon spread into Iraq, especially among its large Shia population. He worried that Shia clerics might inspire uprisings like those in Iran and topple his government. In response, in September 1980, Saddam preemptively invaded Iran, motivated both by territorial ambition over the oil-rich Khuzestan region and by the fear of revolutionary influence. Other Arab countries, anxious about Iran's growing power and revolutionary agenda, supported Iraq financially in its fight against Iran. Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, in particular, funneled billions of dollars in financial and logistical support to sustain Saddam's war machine. Their backing was a defensive investment to counter what they perceive as an existential ideological threat from Iran. The United States also viewed the Islamic Revolution as a major strategic threat to its interests in the Persian Gulf, a region critical to global oil trade where the U.S. has long projected power. This threat perception intensified dramatically after Iranian students stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran on November 4, 1979, and took dozens of American diplomats hostage for 444 days. As part of its strategy to contain Iran's growing influence, the United States imposed heavy sanctions on the Islamic Republic while providing billions of dollars in economic and military aid to help Iraq sustain its war effort against Iran. The CIA supplied satellite imagery and other intelligence to help track Iranian troops' movements. Iraq even gained significant political leverage when the United States removed it from the list of state sponsors of terrorism in February 1982, paving the way for greater international support at the United Nations. Saudi Arabia, the other Gulf states, and the U.S. did not support Saddam Hussein because they like him. Far from it. They were well aware of his atrocities against his own people, which was precisely why Iraq had originally been designated a state sponsor of terrorism by the Carter administration in 1979. The support stemmed from cold pragmatism. In geopolitics, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. At the time, Iran posed a far greater threat than Iraq to American and regional interests, and even to the survival of the Gulf monarchies. Fortunately for Iran, the war ended in a stalemate in 1988. Although the country suffered enormous human and economic losses, the Islamic Republic survived intact. Khomeini, who was still alive at the time, declared the war a victory for the Iranian people, arguing that Iraq had failed to achieve any of its objectives. Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states, however, felt relieved. The long conflict had stretched Iran thin, leaving it exhausted and unable to project significant influence in the region for years afterward. Prior to the US-Israeli war on Iran, Saudi Arabia and much of the Arab world had lived for years in heightened fear that Iran's rapidly developing arsenal of missiles and drones would eventually be turned against them. This fear drove many Gulf countries to host US military bases as a security guarantee against the perceived Iranian threat. Bases that Iran has repeatedly and vehemently condemned. To Arab leaders, the latest war has proven those fears justified. Iran has directly attacked oil and gas facilities, desalination plants, and other civilian infrastructure across the Gulf. This is why many Arab leaders strongly support continuous US strike on Iran. They fear that stopping the war while Iran still retains significant military and nuclear capabilities will leave them exposed to coercion, threat, and long-term blackmail. For them, decisively weakening Iran is a matter of survival. At its core, Arab rulers' deep-seated hatred and suspicion of the Islamic Republic stem from Iran's aggressive push to export its revolution and share ideology beyond its borders. They view this as a direct threat to their grip on power as kings and emirs and to their position as leader of the Muslim world. Above all, they fear Iran's brand of political Islam, a rigid, revolutionary fundamentalism that rejected monarchy, denounced their alliances with the West, and sought to replace existing governments with critical rule based on strict Sharia. They worry that a militarily powerful Iran would eventually overrun their country with Iran-sponsored revolutions. Ironically, the same Iran that once condemned the hereditary system in other Arab states has now tilted toward one. Mujtaba Khamenei, the son of the Ali Khamenei, who ruled as supreme leader for nearly 37 years until his assassination in February 2026, was appointed as the new supreme leader on March 8, 2026, even though the system created by the revolution explicitly forbade hereditary succession. Saudi Arabia and much of the Arab world also strongly oppose Iran's position on Palestine. While most Arab states realistically support a two-state solution, Iran has expressly rejected the idea of an independent Palestinian state alongside the state of Israel. The Islamic Republic believes this approach will not secure Palestinian rights. As a result, it has taken the Adlina route by creating, militarizing, and founding axes of persistence, such as Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. If you like this type of documentary, kindly like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more. Thank you for watching.